Hello everyone, welcome back today for round number 10 out of 21 here at the 2019 FIA Formula 1 World Championship. You join us at Silverstone, the British Grand Prix, for our one-shot qualifying session. And so we know what Britain gives. Let's just have a look at the conditions and pray that they're not wet. And I have a slight feeling they are.
It's time once again then for qualifying here at Silverstone on what we're hoping will be a tight contest for pole position. So, could be a tasty one today then, Ants. We've got all the ingredients, that's for sure. Treacherous conditions, an ever-changing racetrack, and one or two cars just behind the pace setters who just maybe, fancy a bit of an upset after a good performance from them in free practice.
And the question has to be, of course, what is that circuit going to look like in 10 to 15 minutes from now? If you think the rain's going to get worse, then you have to be straight out when the lights go green to find whatever grip you can. But if it eases off, then you're better off waiting, saving the tyres, and going out at the perfect moment. The other thing that comes with these conditions? Traffic, and the lack of visibility that comes from sitting in the spray. It's going to be a constant problem, and I expect to see a lot of frustrated drivers with ruined laps out there today.
Just like I was hinting, it is raining in qualifying, so this will be our first wet collie of the season. We're going to go all the way down to our British wet setup, which we will be able to change in the race because I do not have Parc Fermé on. Anyway, let's do this then for round number 10 in qualifying. It's a one-shot qualifying followed by a 25% race into turn 1. A little lift off as I think someone got invalidated. Not too sure, but yeah, just there's not a lot of grip out here, to be honest. As go through turns 1 and 2, it's going to stick it in third gear for the traction, but not the greatest of exits. As I'm surprised we're actually still leading the way. Well, through sector 1, I'll just finished sector 1 now, and the sector split for 31 flat, so we won't compare it to everyone else, can't be bothered. But I reckon we're going to get overtaken by a few people here, so we understeer massively, and I think that's Lewis Hamilton going through it. It is, as we're now into Copse Corner. Maggots and Beckett's will be fun, as we do regain the lead over Lewis Hamilton. So you can see the ghost of him behind us, and how tricky this bit is in the wet. I completely messed it up. It's not my greatest run, I'll be honest, but somehow we still lead the way. Lewis Hamilton is still there though, but losing a bit of time actually, so maybe we're running less wings than the Mercedes. Into the final few corners now. The Mercedes still behind us as we go a little bit wide, and now into the final corner. It could be pole for our home race, but it's not Sebastian's Vettel's home race. But through the final corner now, and it is actually going to be pole position.
Okay, good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
Thank you.
We're all ready for tomorrow's race, but before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who will be fronting the grid. Vettel, Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Let's do this. Let's British Grand Prix, as you all know. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'm going to remind you again later, so let's just do it now and get out of the way. I'll now hand you over to the two commentators who will run through the British Grand Prix in a slightly more detailed way than what I would do. Let's do this.
Preparations on the grid are wrapping up as we brace ourselves for the start of today's big race. The 3.6-mile-long Silverstone Circuit is one of the longest of the season, with 18 corners in the current layout. With average lap speeds reaching around 145 miles per hour, it's also one of the quickest tracks of the year. Watch out for cars taking the right-handers of Abbey and Copse flat out. It's race day yet again, and joining me for a chat, Anthony Davidson. And our racers are certainly in for a rough day today. What will you be watching for as they go down into turn one?
Well, the start of the race is always one of the most nerve-wracking parts. You have to hope that everyone is able to get off to a clean start, and this is possibly the trickiest part of the entire race. So many drivers in such a small space, and finding your braking point into turn one as well. It's a testament to the driver's skill that there aren't more incidents.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Verstappen, Charles Leclerc and Albon, Norris, Magnussen, Sainz and Sergio Perez, Grosjean, Hülkenberg, Daniel Ricciardo and Raikkonen, Stroll, Gasly, Daniel Kvyat and George Russell, Giovinazzi and Robert Kubica takes the last spot on the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Okay, the run into turn one isn't too long, so the pack will be bunched up. Take care.
And for the first time this season, one of the Williamses hasn't qualified on the bottom row of the grid, which is excellent. It's going to be a normal one stop, hitting on lap 8 for the medium tyres, and let's do this. Now, before we start, we're going to go to the 5 lights first. Lights out, and away we go for the British Grand Prix. It's an excellent start actually, and we lead the way into turn 1. Now into turn 2 and 3. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. We're going to win the race. Let's do this. But I'm going to say this now because that's probably when everyone's still watching. Randomly throughout this race, between now and the 13 laps, there will be a bit of a pause, and then I'm going to say a word. It's going to have nothing to do with the race, but if you hear the word, because you'll be watching, I'd like you to comment the word down in the comment section below in order to win this mini competition. There is no prize, unfortunately, but yeah, I'll do an example, Ryan. So I'll be racing and then there'll be silence. Coconut. You see what I mean? That's not the word. If I see people commenting coconut, then you will immediately be disqualified from the mini competition. But there will be a random word that will be said throughout this race, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you like and subscribe, as we're about to finish lap 1 out of 13 here at the British Grand Prix. We do have Lewis Hamilton closely following us behind. Now into turn 1, 2, 3. Great commentary. Can you imagine that? Anyway, we still stay ahead of Lewis Hamilton. After the wet qualifying, we did qualify on pole, but now Lewis is going to have a run at us on the Wellington straight into Brooklands now. We're going to leave him the room on the inside. We're going to go on stay on the outside line now into Luffield. He does tuck in behind us now as we started straight, the long right-hander, before we approach the very high-speed Copse, and I hope he doesn't go for a move. He's going to look for a move. We're going to go side by side into Copse. That could have ended almost in a disaster. We didn't quite go fully side by side. But now into Maggots and Beckett's. It's all clean so far after lap 2. Now onto the hanger straight into Stove. Lewis is going to try and go round the outside. We do go a little bit deep, but allows him to look on the inside. There's a little bit of contact, and we've actually broken really early into the final corner, which is going to allow him to go around the outside which will turn to the inside but decides to back out of it. And we'll see who sets the fastest lap of the race. And it's Max Verstappen. Oh no, it's Alex Albon. Interestingly, so through Abbey, which is actually flat out now. Didn't used to be, but you know the new improved F1 cars can now take that kind of flat out along with Cops, which didn't used to be flat out, but you can pretty much take it flat out. Now back onto the Wellington straight, approaching Brooklands and Luffield. Another good overtaking opportunity with the DRS activated. I'm not sure if Hamilton, it is lap 3 though, but I'm not sure if Hamilton will have the DRS. I think he might do. So we'll have to wait. Yeah, be quiet. We'll have to wait for the Chapel curve to see whether he does have DRS in that straight. But we do go a bit wide, but I think the gap has increased to over a second between us two. So it's good pace from us again. Lap 3 now, to 13. Down the Hagner straight into Stove, and a long right-hander, really easy to go wide, and also a good overtaking opportunity for some drivers to get the good run through the Chapel curve, and with the DRS. So we're going to come through the final corner now to set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:30.6. We'll see if that gets beaten throughout the course of this race. On to lap 4 now. Out of 13. Make sure you do like and subscribe. You don't have to turn notifications on, but if you want to turn notifications on, hit that bell. Or don't actually hit it, but just press it or click it. Don't want you know, violently attacking your screen with a sledgehammer or something, or like, you know, just spamming it, turning it on and off and on and off and on and off and on and off. Just need to click it once, just like with the subscribe button. You just need to press it or click it. But like Austria, we seem to be winning by quite a margin. Unless we make a stupid mistake, then we're gonna win. Spoiler alert. Lap 4 out of 13 now. We won't have the DRS. Oh dear, wasn't paying enough attention. But Lewis and Bottas seem to be going at it in the background. What do you say? Just say we make this interesting. Should we make it an I say let's make this an interesting race. I'm going to do something from the next lap, which should hopefully make it a bit more fun to watch, rather than watching me lead the race and Jeff's on the come with a new strategy. I mean, we'll just take it. It doesn't really matter what we do at this point. But anyway, a little bit late on the brakes, a little bit deep, but doesn't affect us too much. As we're actually almost halfway through the season. Well, there is no real halfway. There's 21 races. This is round 10. So this is after we do this. It's effectively the halfway stage in the championship, being round 10. So after this race, it'll be technically round 10 and a half, because we finished lap 10, but we haven't started round 11 yet. So yeah. Through Maggots and Beckett for the 5th time. We'll have to negotiate this corner 8 more times in this race. We do go quite slowly there. Not my best line, I'll be honest. Probably better than the one in the wet, but we're actually going to box this lap and make it a bit interesting. But let's go on to the hard tyres. It's a tyre that we've actually not used in this championship, and just to make it a bit, you know, a bit exciting, let's go into the hardest compound of tyre and see what our pace is like compared to everyone else. We will have to do a fair bit of overtaking to get back through the field, but that shouldn't be too much of an issue, I would imagine. No one else is going to come into the pits, and we're going to change over to the white stripe tyre. It's a 2.4 second pit stop. I wonder if we'll come out in front of the Williamses. I hope we do, but it doesn't look like it. Forgot to put my ERS down to none, and we will come out in last place. But that's nothing to worry about, as we do come out the one of the longest pit lanes on the calendar, and lap 6 now. We're in last place, so this should make it a bit entertaining for you when we catch up to the other drivers of Kubica and Giovinazzi. But the first time we're going to use the hard tyres, and probably the last time we will end up using the hard tyres, I'd imagine, as Antonio Giovinazzi gets past George Russell. I believe are side by side into Luffield, but I think Antonio's got the position. I think that'll be that battle over for the meantime. Let's have a look at our pace on the hard tyres compared to the Mercedes and our teammates on the, well, will be the mediums in about 3 laps time. A little bit of oversteer on the curb. We'll have to make sure we don't actually go into the barriers. That'd be really disappointing. Through Magnus and Beckett's now on these slightly cold hard tyres, but they're doing okie dokie, as no one decides to pit this lap, so it will be a few more laps when the AI will start pitting. We obviously pitted early because we want to have some fun, don't we, viewers? Now on to lap 7 out of 13. Just gone past the halfway stage, and well, halfway stage in this race, you could say. And yeah, we're catching up to the Williamses. Obviously, we are in a Ferrari on fresh tyres, but no, that's no excuse. We are catching to Robert Kubica and George Russell. 2.4 seconds now separate us, so you're going to see some actual overtaking for once in this race. We do have yellow flags up in front. I don't know who that's for. I think it's Alpha of Kimi Raikkonen. He's had a full engine failure, smoke coming out the back of the Alpha, and a safety car would really ruin our race here. Have to wait and see whether it does deploy a safety car. Pineapple. As we're now chasing Robert Kubica down in the Williams. Oh dearie me! Oh dearie me! I wasn't expecting to brake so early. As we're going to go for a move up the inside into the final corner. He doesn't leave any space at all. That door was shut real quick, but we do manage to barge our way through after we do have end plate damage. And Kevin Magnussen's now into the pits for the medium tyres. I mean, I think he's actually in for the soft tyres, pitting from the mediums after starting on the mediums. So yeah, he'll be in last place, but everyone else will have to make a pit stop other than myself. We now have DRS on Antonio Giovinazzi on the Wellington straight. We do have that front wing damage to account for. He's going to look for a move on Russell, and we're going to try and go round the outside. That didn't go too well, did it? But we're going to go for a move up the inside of Kubica, barge our way through as he closed the door again on us. So a little bit of dirty work from the Williams driver, but ultimately this hasn't actually worked in my form of entertainment, as the two Mercedes actually might come out ahead of us when they pit, and one of them has come into the pits. So, and we're only at Maggots and Beckett, so this could be really close actually. I thought I'd go into the hard tyres for a laugh, but the laugh has actually turned into something pretty serious, as we now have front wing damage, and I'm only coming through stove. So this is going to be close. We're going to have to wait and see where we come out. Thankfully the Williams comes into the pit, so we won't be held up behind him, as I believe the Mercedes and the Red Bull are actually coming out of the pits now. They're coming out of the pits, they're coming through the corner, they're going to be turning off their pit limiter soon, but we do actually come out in front of them, thankfully, and remain in the net lead of this race unless the other top 3 can do anything about it. But the gap has definitely come down a lot. We're on the slower tyre, more worn tyres, and have front wing damage. So this race win, I may have thrown it a little bit, but it's definitely still possible.
Check your MFD for a new strategy option. Confirmed.
Once again, Antonio Giovinazzi. Honestly, what are we going to do about him? Well, that's the second time, sorry, probably the third time this season that we've come together, and we now have major wing damage. Orange on the front
Charles
left.
in for his stop.
With only 4 laps to go, we're now being overtaken by Lewis Hamilton for the lead of this race. We're going to hold it down the inside, but there's nothing we can do. This has gone from bad to worse. We have thrown away the lead of this race by pitting early and getting caught up once again with Antonio in the Alpha. Into turn 1 now. The understeer is just extortionate. We do have to cut the corner just to make the corner, and Valtteri Bottas is now caught up to us. And he's going to look for a move shortly. And also Leclerc, Verstappen and Albon are all behind me, so our podium might be at risk here. I'm going to let the game do its own talking and probably just keep my mouth shut for a few laps while I just, accept what's happened to this race as it's just gone completely down the toilet. As we now go on to the final lap of this race, and what a downhill race it's been for us, using the gravel, using the, the track extension to help us make turn 1 due to our heavy wing damage, with Antonio locking up into Brooklands, and then, well, us on the outside had nowhere else to go, and an epic battle actually between the AI going 3 wide behind us. I tried to look back on it as much as I can, but ultimately I've lost the positions of all 4 of them, and I'm now in 6th place after starting first. This has not gone well. This has not gone well, but hopefully we can make amends to our bad result next race. I believe it's Germany, Seb's home race. As Magnussen-Beck, it just feels horrible. Horrible, I say, with that amount of wing damage and the hard tyre. So this could all have been, this could never have happened if I'd have just stayed by my strategy, but I mean, it's definitely formed entertainment for you guys. Lewis Hamilton wins his home Grand Prix, followed by Bottas, then Leclerc, then Verstappen, then Albon, then myself and Norris. Norris is getting best of the rest here. And disappointing from us. We'll see what the commentators say.
Yet another historic win under their belts. Well done to the team at Mercedes. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
Well, I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is they simply had the best speed package on the day, and a driver who knows how to take advantage of that. It doesn't matter how much time you spend poring over the stats and planning strategies if you can't keep the pace, and our winner today showed they could do both.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. Despite the best efforts of our championship leader, that lead has taken a bit of a knock today. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Daniel Ricciardo certainly impressed me today, an incredible performance.
Let's move on to the constructors. No change in the top spot, but with today's points, their hold on the lead is getting weaker. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
That was it. Disappointing British Grand Prix after getting pole position and the fastest lap, I guess. So that's an extra points to add to our 8. But let's go through the standings real quick. Our gap comes down from 25 to 9 points as Lando Norris moves up into 8th place. In terms of constructors, Williams still without a point as the gap comes down to now 14 points at the top. With Red Bull still just kind of there and thereabouts, not really contending for constructors, but Racing Point under a little bit of threat from McLaren, and yeah, that's it. I hope you heard the mystery word. I won't say it obviously, but I won't say it again. Comment it down below if you heard it. Make sure to like and subscribe, and until next time, goodbye.